So this video is about how to choose a secondary school. As a head teacher of 2 secondary schools, I quite often get asked by friends and family, how do you choose? So I thought I'd make a quick video to give you some of the things to think about. The first thing then is the ethos and values, and this is the most important thing. What do the school believe? Because what they believe is what will drive all their judgments, how they spend their money, the staff they employ, the activities they do. And you have to be able to buy into it. It's no good going to a school because it's got a great reputation, even though you don't agree with their religious values or their values around the whole child or their attitude to uniform. So you must make sure that your ethos and values align with that secondary school's, because then it will be fine. But if you sit in a school where their ethos and values don't sit with yours, you will never be happy. And you can't have one without the other. It's no good going to a school that has brilliant behaviour because they're strict, but you don't like that when it relates to your child. So the most important thing you need to do when you're looking for a school is understand their ethos and values. Every decision they make will be worked out through that prism, and you need to make sure that you're comfortable with that. Number 2, the head teacher. People sometimes overly focus on the head teacher, but possibly because they want the head teacher to embody the ethos of the school. And that's important because they are leading a big group of people. But what you need to be able to see is this somebody that I think is realistic and honest? Have I got a second-hand car dealer who's just trying to tell me everything I want to hear? Or are they, if necessarily, going to tell me some tough messages and tell me things I don't want to hear? Each child is worth about £5,000 a year to a school. So when you're looking around, you need to imagine you've got a cheque for £25,000 and make sure you assess what people will tell you in order to get that. The average head teacher lasts at secondary schools for about 6 to 7 years. So it's important to know where they are in their stage. They might be brand spanking new and really keen. They may be nearing retirement. You need to listen to the head teacher, meet the head teacher, and it'll give you a good sense about what he or she is like and how they run their school. But it's not the be all and end all. Number 3, facilities. Again, it's very easy to get wooed by nice facilities. Some schools have been recently built and have great facilities. Some can look a bit tired. Some have buildings that cost so much to maintain they can't actually put more money in to make them look really nice because they're just having to sort out a very leaky roof or something. Remember also that schools have differences in funding and they may spend the money differently. So it might be that although some schools will put it all out front and make a lovely reception and lots of nice things out the front, whereas others may put that money into special needs or into staffing or the executive head's Bentley. The facilities are important because it offers children opportunities, but you have to be careful that you're not just wooed by a few shiny bright things. Number 4, the curriculum, what they're going to be taught. Now at Key Stage 3, years 7 to 9, that's fairly standard, but you need to look at what they offer at GCSE. Is it a very limited offer? Do they offer a wide range of stuff? Is it very academic? Is it vocational? Also, you want to look at what their setting policy is. Is everything in mixed ability? Do they have setting? Do they have streaming? The difference between setting and streaming is setting is when children are looked at for each subject and put according to their so-called ability and subject, whereas streaming is where they split the year into 2 or into 3, and then those children are taught with the same class all the time with their ability. So setting is a bit more flexible. Number 5, the opportunities. The things you'll remember from your school days aren't just your lessons. In fact, it's probably the trip down to Margate. It's the visiting speakers. It's the clubs. It's the teams. It's all those things that happen to make the school feel like a place where those children belong. And it's really important not just to get wooed by the big ticket items. Whilst it's nice for them to bring out the sixth form to talk about their trip to Sumatra, when you find out that came with a £7,000 fee, you might not be so keen. It's actually the everyday things, the teams, the plays, the people they come in to talk to the children, the experiences that they have that are really important. Number 6, pastoral care. How do they care for your children? What systems have they got in place? And what agents do they work with? How do they provide support for your children? Because teenage years can be very rocky and you never know what's going to hit you. And both your children and yourself may need some help. And do you feel comfortable that there's a team there that will support you? You might be concerned about things like drugs and bullying, and those happen in schools everywhere. The only thing to worry about is when a school says they don't have children that are involved in drugs and they don't have any bullying. What you need to know is an honest school will tell you what they do about them, and it's far more important they do that than be in denial or literally don't know. Number 7, look local. Every school should be a good school. Now, it's not, but the ideal is every local school that your child can walk to is a great school. It's very difficult sometimes to send a child on a bus and send them halfway across town, and that has effects. It makes it harder for them to join in the life of the school, to join in those extracurricular activities. Sometimes they go to selective schools where actually they feel like a bit of a fish out of water. And as they get older and they want to be close to friends, do you really want to become a taxi service, or do they want to start to feel isolated and cut out of events because they can't just pick up on those things? And for teenagers, those social aspects are really important to their happiness. So make sure you look local. Number 8, the reputation. Now, reputations tend to be things that lag a little bit. So it's very important you take it with a pinch of salt. You need to talk to current parents and ideally of younger year groups, those people that know what's happening in the school. Often reputations are quite out of date, and someone who was there 3 years ago is not very useful. They had totally different GCSEs. You could have a completely change of leadership team at the top. Most of the teachers could have changed, and that reputation will be out of date for good or bad. Number 9, league tables. Well, GCSE results often reflect the intake that they have. So if you're in a nice leafy middle class area, they'll be good. And if you're in a more challenging area that's a very inclusive school, they won't be so good. But it's worth looking at because that's the ultimate aim of a school. When you look at what they offer, the Progress 8 score is more weighted to schools that do more traditional subjects and force children to do more subjects at GCSE than less subjects. The basics measure, I would say, is the most important, which looks how many pass maths and English at a 5, which is a high pass. Although looking at how many pass at a 4, which is a standard pass, is equally important. Those are the keystone qualifications that get you into the next level. So I would say that's quite an important measure to look at. Beware of any school that is touting their 2020 results. Remember, these were given to the school by themselves. No ethical school will say that they've got their best results ever in 2020, and there's a danger that you've got a school that is deluded. You need to look at their 2019 results, which were the last externally validated results, and that's all the evidence we have at the moment. But results take time, and you might have a school that is doing really well, but it takes a bit of time to move those round. Also, there's tricks. So if you take the measure like the EBAC measure, that to do well on that requires you expecting almost all children to take a language at GCSE. Some schools will do that because that's what they want for the league tables, even though perhaps that's not right for their students. So beware, there are tricks. And league tables, the top of the league tables can have its drawbacks, as can the bottom. Number 10 is Ofsted. Well, beware again of this. It can be very outdated. There are 2 types of Ofsted reports, 2-day reports and 1-day reports. Look at the date of the report. So in one of my schools, our last full inspection of 2 days was 2013. Since then, there's been a complete change of leadership team and most of the staff have changed. So what does it tell us? Since then, we've had one-day inspection, which is 2 people in for a day. How much can you find out? The ratings vary, and the criteria has changed in about 2017. So anything that was outstanding before that is not necessarily likely to be outstanding now. So an outstanding school sounds great, doesn't it? But is that their driver? Is that what they do? Are they more concerned with Ofsted and great results than with students and caring for children? It may be, they may be a truly outstanding school, but just be aware that outstanding in itself doesn't mean that it's necessarily great for every child or great for your child. A good is the standard good school. And most schools are good. Most are doing a good job. And that's something to worry about. And some good schools are arguably better and more caring than some outstanding schools. RI, well, that requires improvement. And those are schools that need some work. Now, the key here is to see if they've embraced and not denied what that report said. If the leadership team and the teachers talk about how it wasn't fair, then that would suggest to me they're not dealing with the problems. It may just be they're a school that's more inclusive. They've got a more challenging area. They end up with the students other people won't take. You're surrounded by selective schools. There's lots of reasons why they might not be doing as well, but you need to understand why that is. A double RI school is when they've had 2 Ofsted inspectors and had 2 requires improvements in a row. And these you really need to look at because this means they haven't shown enough improvement. The key is what has happened. You would want to be seeing big change, a change of leadership, a whole new direction, because And if you see that, then that's a school that's dynamic, and often local education authorities put loads of effort into them because they're the schools that have the most effort put into improving them. So they can be a really dynamic place to be. And they attract a lot of good staff who want to make a difference. And you can find highly motivated teachers in those sort of schools. And the same works with inadequate, which is the very lowest category. Again, they need serious work doing, but because they've got that spotlight on them, sometimes actually they're worth a punt. What you're buying is not the school now, but you're buying into the future of the school. So you need to work out their future plans. What's their vision for the future? What's it going to be like in 5 years' time? So there's good schools that provide great experiences for some and bad for others. It's not about finding the best school, but it's the best school for your child. What I would lastly say is choose your school and then commit to it. You need to stand shoulder to shoulder with the school, support it in public, question it in private if things aren't right, and you can't go wrong. But once you've made your right decision, stick with it, believe in it, and it will be the right decision for your child.